All right, so it's been almost exactly 1 year since I quit everything and moved to Italy. Today is the 30th of May, and I actually moved here the 27th of May, 2025. And the only reason why I didn't record this, or we didn't record this on the 27th, is because we were in Germany. So I thought it'd be a little weird to record a 1 year in Italy video while we were
In Germany.
traveling in Germany. I did a 6 month update. That video taught me a couple of things, and I just want to start this video with saying we're going to say some things that are negative about my experience here, but yours too, because technically
Mine
you
too.
moved here too,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
2 years
Even
ago.
it's 20 years, okay, but
Yeah,
still.
and those negative things are one, our opinion. It's just how we feel about things, and it doesn't mean that we hate Italy or we hate anything. It just means that anywhere you go, you're going to find things that you're not used to or you don't like, and that's it. It's just our opinion. But we got comments that were like, "Wow, if you don't like it, go home," kind of those things. But it's not that serious. These are just things that we've experienced that are
Yes, but sometimes people who live in their own country, they don't like something, but where they go.
exactly. When we do talk about things that are negative, we're not saying number one, it's all of Italy or any one specific Italian we're saying anything negative about. We promise. We're only saying our own opinion, our own point of view. So, and the other thing is, if we get something wrong, please correct us. That also happened in the last video about the masks. I was very wrong about that. I was corrected by a lot of people. I do appreciate that. So we accept constructive criticism. We invite it actually. We know we can be wrong about different things, and we may be wrong about things in this video as well. But again, I emphasize constructive because some people say things just like you're idiots or you're dumb. And it's like, okay, that doesn't really help to the conversation. So we like to leave as many comments as possible, but anything that's not constructive, we will block you or delete it. Just because it doesn't add to the
Mhm.
conversation. So I just wanted to say that in the beginning. Having said that, of course, it won't all be negative. There's lots of things that I've learned and that I like about Italy in general. And some of it has nothing to do with moving specifically to Italy. It's just about moving. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk about my experience here the last year living in Italy. I want to start off with taxes because we did get a question about taxes about 6 months ago, and I hadn't paid taxes yet because it hadn't been a
Mhm.
year. So, one of the things, and this is about an American, not any other country, and about how I have to pay my taxes to the US, but also taxes in Italy. I'm not a tax attorney. This is not legal advice at all. This is just my experience and the research that I did. So please don't take anything I say here as law and then you execute and maybe something bad happens. This is just the research and the things that I've had to do. So I want to start off with something that I couldn't answer back then that I can now answer. So if that person
Mhm.
specifically is watching or anybody else is curious about how to do taxes, this is it. Number one, I pay taxes kind of the normal way I would pay it in the US. The difference is I've paid my taxes electronically through things like TurboTax and other online things. And I tried to do that this year and I was not able to. So I had to basically write it all out. I had to do it like on a physical paper
Mhm.
and send it in. And that's a little bit scary, but it's all worked out. And the reason why I couldn't do it electronically is I filed as married, and I'm
Mhm.
legally required to say whether I'm single or married, even if I filed separately, which is what I did. We're married. And so I filed married, and I have to put her either social security number in there or
Mhm.
a tax ID number. She doesn't have either of those. There's no way that you can file electronically without either of those. So what you have to do is file manually, and then you put in there that she doesn't have that. It wasn't that big of a deal because you can still do things electronically and then print it all out, but there are some things you have to sign manually, fill it out, put it in the envelope. I had to get some read receipts and all that to make sure it got where it was
Yeah.
supposed to, which as far as I know it did. And
Yes.
then you can the other thing is that you can pay online. So I sent my taxes to file manually, but I can pay online. I had to pay this year. I didn't get any money back. I ended up paying online right away, but
Mhm.
I filed manually. That's what I had to do. So if you're not married or your spouse already has a social security number, all that, you can probably file online like you normally would and no big deal.
Mhm.
The other thing that was really important for me that I didn't realize is that you have to report if you have money if you have any amount of money over $10,000 in a foreign bank account.
Mhm.
And I was not aware of that. But again, just doing my research, because I bought the house here, I had to, of course, transfer money from the US to my now Italian bank account, which is foreign. And because of that, it was, the house cost 30 something thousand euros. In one calendar year, if you have more than $10,000, even in separate bank accounts, so if you have like 4 or 5 different foreign bank accounts and you
Mhm.
have 10,000 or more dollars in any and combined in any of those bank accounts at any one time, you have to report that. And so you have to report it to I wrote this down, the foreign bank account report. It's FBAR. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what the name is, but you have to file that, and that is separate from your taxes.
Mhm.
So even if you don't do taxes or do any of that, you have to report that through them. They have their own website that you can go through. You can look all that up. I basically looked it up. If you just Google
Mhm.
FBAR reporting, you can do that.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you need to report you have a home here in Italy?
No.
Okay.
You only need to report that if you have more than $10,000, not euros, and this is all for the US. So your own country, if you're not from the US, you may have your own reporting, but it's $10,000 at any one point. Even if it's $10,000 for 1 second and then you immediately move it and pay for something, it doesn't matter. If you have $10,000 in account, you have to report it. And that was relatively easy. I just went to the website and you have to report the exact amount as well. So the most amount, it's not that you just report that you had more than 10,000. I had to report the most amount of money at one point that I had that was over 10,000. So if you transfer 50,000, you have to report 50,000. If
Mhm.
you transferred $10,001, you have to report that. And then basically it's all self-explanatory. You can fill all that out. So I think that's it for the tax situation. There may be something I'm missing, but again, this is not any kind of tax advice. This is just what I did. So I filed normally, just I had to do it manually. I had to sign manually and I had to do that reporting. But other than that, my taxes were relatively easy to do, just like I do it every
Mhm.
year. So
So yeah, so only re- in this case you needed to send by mail, so you needed to do earlier.
thank you for saying that. So actually, so she says I need to do it earlier, but actually not really. So I waited kind of to the last minute, early April, to file until I found out it's this. And so the other thing, and again, be careful with this, but I did do research. And if you are living abroad, you actually can file, you have until October something. I can't remember. So the normal tax day is April
You have
15th.
more time.
Yeah, if you're filing from abroad, you have more time now. In the future, so next year, I will be filing in January. I will be trying to file as soon as possible, just in case something like this happens. But I was a little worried I was going to have to file for an extension. And then, of course, I did more research and found out if you're living abroad, you have until October to file. Again, make sure you double check. Rules can change all the time, but I still filed before the 15th just because I wanted to make sure I was okay, but I found out
Mhm.
that I do have until October to do that. Just be aware. So that's kind of the official stuff. Obviously, things will be different if you have a business and if you have multiple jobs, all that good stuff. So do your research, but that's just how I did my taxes this year. So now I'm just going to talk about, or we're going to just talk about the last year. Some of it will be from the last update, and some of it will be overall things that
Mhm.
I have learned. My opinion on things. Is the honeymoon phase over? All that good stuff. And then at the end, I will show, did I learn Italian or not? Where is my Italian level after 1 year? So the first thing I want to talk about, because Italy is very famous for this, is the food. And I said this in the last video, the food is just better. Basta. We'll just leave it at that. Like, there's really nothing else to say. The food is better. A lot of people talk about when they move from the US to Italy, they lose weight. Not me. I gained weight. I gained like maybe 10 pounds because the food is just easy to eat here. And I have a great cook as a wife. So I need to work out a little bit more, but the food is just phenomenal. Almost everything that you can eat here is really good.
Mhm.
Having said that, and I'm referring to my notes because there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but and so I'm forgetful. But I will say, as far as food goes, that I miss in the U.S., the thing I miss the most is barbecue.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had barbecue here. We just had barbecue in Germany. We were there. It's just not the same. There's nothing like American barbecue. And I'm not even just talking about like barbecue ribs and things like that, but just like barbecue type food, like cornbread and barbecue ribs and like fried chicken and all like that Southern like soul
Mhm.
food thing. Of all the American food I miss, it's like the classic barbecue type food.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, I love the food here. There's not much that I miss about the US food. I love Italian food. Continuing with Italian food, one of the things I learned about Italian food is that there's lots of rules about
Yes.
food in Italy.
Yes.
So in the US, we don't get Italian food quite right. And I know that there's authentic Italian places, but one thing I learned is that they don't really mix meat and pasta like we do in the US. So spaghetti and
Or in
meatballs,
Russia.
or huh?
Or in Russia.
Or in Russia,
Yes.
they mix meat
Yes,
and
of
pasta.
course, we
Okay.
meet, we mix. Yeah.
Spaghetti and meatballs, although it does exist, you can get it. It's not normal here. It's not a normal dish you would see at any Italian restaurant. They have like spaghetti con ragu,
Con ragù.
right? And it's just like minced meat with spaghetti with like tomato sauce and spaghetti. That's about the most meat that they mix.
Yeah, pancetta, like carbonara, but
Yeah,
with meat, with chicken
yeah,
or
like chicken parmesan, which is a famous Italian dish in the U.S. and was one of my favorites, or chicken Alfredo. They don't mix that, and it's like a sin. Like if I said, yeah, I put white sauce with pasta and chicken all mixed together, Italians would have a heart attack. In chicken parm where they have the chicken on top of the pasta, and then no, they don't do that here. They usually have their pasta separate by itself, with exceptions like carbonara, which is a little bit of like bacon, we'll
yeah.
call it, and a little con ragu with some minced meat, which is very, it's very minced. It's not
Yes,
very
yes,
thick.
yes.
With very few exceptions, they eat their pasta by itself with just sauce, and then they have their meat with a different
Contorno,
plate.
contorno, sì.
So, it's not a big deal, but that's like a big deal for them. And then it's kind of like, what? How could you eat chicken and pasta together or fish and pasta together? It's the worst thing ever. And there's lots of other rules. I won't go over all of them about different things that you can eat together and not together. Also, the time of which you eat is very important here. They have kind of like set times that you
Yes,
eat.
this is I still suffering with closure of restaurants.
Yeah, they have their version of the siesta, where they basically everything closes at around 2:30 to 3 o'clock, and they don't open until like 7, or no, not 7, 5 or 6.
No, no, seven,
Okay.
6, 7, yeah.
You have to plan your meals accordingly if you want to eat out. And that's happened to us a couple of times where we've
Mm-hmm.
had different chores or errands to run. And we eat breakfast like really early, or we don't eat breakfast, and then we get busy. And then around
Yeah.
2:30, 3 o'clock, we want to go somewhere to eat. And they're either closing their kitchen or there's nothing open. And there have been
Mm-mm.
times we've searched for over an hour. Having said that, the piece of advice is always look for a pizza kebab or, like a Turkish kebab
Yeah, yeah.
place.
They always open.
Yeah.
Yeah, they save you.
Yeah. So if you're in a small town, it might be difficult, but if you can't find anything, they're usually open and you can find one. And they've saved us a couple of times when we were very hungry and didn't have anything to eat after 3 o'clock. Another thing about food is just the flavors are just different. This doesn't mean better or worse. There are certain foods that I've tried that I expected kind of one flavor and it was a different flavor. I've even gone to like American themed restaurants and had just like a classic burger, and even the spices and sauces they use are just different. And I won't say better or worse, just different. Yeah, just one of the things that's happened to me. And my flavor
Mhm.
profile has changed. I'm interested to see when I finally get to go back to the US what food is going to taste like, like some of the same normal foods that I would
Mhm.
eat.
Yes, I think you will find some surprise because I like Russian food, Soviet food, but when I return to eat, I can say I have some heavy stomach.
Yeah,
So
stomach issues.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So mhm.
Yeah, I'll have to be careful when I go back to the US not to go crazy because I think I've gotten used to European food for sure. The last thing I'll say about food, I think, that I really like about here is not specifically about food, is that there's no tipping culture here, or at least not that I'm aware of, or at least not in normal places. Maybe in like really touristic places there is, but I love the fact that there's no tipping here. You pay what you pay, and that's it. To me, in the US, it's like tipping has gotten crazy. And
Mhm.
it's funny because I didn't even think about tipping. We just took a trip to Germany where a couple of times I was asked for tips. I don't know whether Germany is you normally tip or not, but I've just gotten out of the mindset of tipping. And there's a couple of places that we went where they were like, "Oh, here's a tip," and I was like, "What? Do I want to add a tip?" I was like, so weird to me. And
Mhm.
so I tipped, of course. If they asked, well, they didn't ask, they put it on the little screen. I tipped. I've gotten so used to not tipping, where you just pay your food and everybody says ciao and they're happy wherever. And like, I just remember in the US, you'd go somewhere and you'd order a coffee and then they turn it around. They like, "Oh, and if you want a tip," and it's like 25% tip, for a $6 coffee. And I'm like, you hit a button on a machine
Yeah.
and you rang up my order and you want me to tip you 25% of this $6 coffee. It's
Yeah. Then yes, then tip can have sense.
Mhm.
Okay, because for example, I can say tipping in Italy, it's common in, for example, when you go to spa
Mhm.
or to take massage or do nails or hair. There, yes. If you like somebody specific with specialist, you can tip.
Okay, I haven't been to any of those things. No spas, no nails, no hair. So I haven't tipped. Only food. So that's specifically about food. I'm happy that there's no tipping culture here, and I'm afraid of when I go back to the U.S., tipping will be like half your bill. So you get a $50 bill and you got to pay $50 for tips. I'm joking, but not really. The rest of the stuff's gonna be random, right? So we did with taxes, food, and a lot of the stuff is just gonna be random. I just wrote down a bunch of random stuff while I was thinking about all of the changes and things that I wasn't used to. So one thing I really like about Italy is their emphasis on like family and friends and like social gatherings. And of course, we have that in the US, but I came from Massachusetts. I was living in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and I was basically by myself for a lot of that time. It was just really refreshing to be here and like see how people like do, birthdays and celebrations, and everybody's just they're hugging and kissing, and everybody's very, family friendly. And but Italy in general has a culture of it's very like family is very, very important. And one example that was really to our benefit is like in the US, to get like a green card or to get like here it's called a permesso di soggiorno, but just to
Mhm.
stay, you still have to get like an ESTA or like a B2 visa. She still has to get like a legit visa, not like a green card, just to come to the US with me. But here we just applied. It's like, okay, we're married now. They're like, okay, if you're married, just prove that you're married. We gave them our main documents, and boom, I had my permesso di soggiorno. I can stay here for 2 years, just like that. And it wasn't that difficult. It
Mhm.
wasn't super easy, but it wasn't that difficult because Italy takes family very seriously. Like marriage here is something that's taken very, very seriously. Not too long ago, it was really, really hard to get divorced.
Mhm.
It's very a lot of emphasis on keeping the families together. So I like Italy's. I don't know. The family is very important to Italy. So that's just something that I like here. Another random topic is the Italy's a very dog friendly country. I was amazed that almost everywhere you go, people have dogs. You go to the mall, you go to the hairdresser.
Yeah, I know some museums started this program. Not all museums. Central, the list of museums, they accept dogs.
Yeah, almost everywhere you go. Now that could be a plus or a minus depending on who you are. If you don't like dogs, then obviously that's going to be a minus for you. But I love dogs. I miss my dog. Seeing dogs everywhere. And the other thing too is that the dogs are very well behaved. People take very good care of their dogs here. Every time we've been in the mall, it's like you don't hear a bunch of dogs barking or fighting. They're all
Mhm.
very friendly. I like the dog culture here.
So one thing you mentioned, and I can say for Italy it's minus. We don't have unfortunately Uber. Uber it's so
Yes, Uber's very
comfortable.
convenient. I'm not going to say why there's no Uber in Italy. Just Google why there's no Uber in Italy, and
Mm,
I'm gonna leave it at that. But yes, that is one thing that is a little bit
yeah.
unfortunate because we were just in Germany and we had an issue. We'll talk about that in the Germany video when we do that, where train broke down and we needed to take an Uber, and it was so convenient. And you
Yeah.
definitely could not do that in Italy. But yeah, Google why you can't. So cash, I almost never carried cash when I lived in the US, let alone like coins. And here you need both. So, yes, you can use your card here in Italy. And technically, there's a law, correct me if I'm wrong, that says that
Mhm.
any business that you do, you have to be able to
Yeah.
use your card. Having said that, many card readers are conveniently broken at a lot of places. Or many places would prefer you pay in cash or even give you quite a big discount if you pay in cash. So cash is king here, and it's very important to have like coins as well because another point that I have on here is like I pay way more attention to bathrooms
Mhm.
and my own cycle of having to go to the bathroom. I know that's probably TMI, but in the US, it's pretty easy to go to a bathroom. If I go out to the store, any store almost, there's going to be a bathroom. It's going to be relatively clean and I won't have to pay for it. But in Italy, and I think in Europe also, bathrooms are fewer and far between. And also, you usually have to pay like with coins. It's either like a
Mhm.
euro, sometimes more. And most businesses, if you go in them, you'll have to pay. Where in
Yes.
the US, a lot of businesses, if you just walk in and say, hey, I have to use the bathroom, you can go in and use the
Mm-mm.
bathroom. Some businesses, they'll make you order something. But pretty much everywhere you go in Italy, if you go into a business, you need to order something.
Yeah.
Or if it's outside of a business, you have to pay usually a euro or maybe 50 cents or sometimes even more, depending on where you go.
Exactly. I prefer to go to bar, order coffee, drink coffee, pay for coffee, and go to bathroom. instead to go to bathroom and pay. Of course, in a big mall,
Right.
there always bathroom free. Yes, in city center. I don't remember to have a lot of public bathrooms
Right.
free.
But in general, I pay way more attention to bathrooms. It's like if I barely have to go, I will go before I leave. I just focus and I
Yeah.
always make sure I understand, okay, where's the bathroom? Where can you go? If there's ever an opportunity to go, even if I don't have to go that bad, I
Yeah,
make sure that I go. Where before in the US, I just don't even think about it. If I have to go, I'm pretty sure within 20 minutes I can find a place to go. And that's just not that way
yeah,
here.
but this is, but because living here for so long, I never thought about this
Right.
because for me it was like almost normal. If I need to go to bathroom, I'm going to take coffee.
Hmm. Something else I really like here, and again, this is only my experience here in Turin. Yes, we've traveled to a lot of other places, but I can't speak for all of Italy. I can't speak for Rome or some of the bigger cities. I really like that a lot of places are local.
Hmm.
There are chains, of course, McDonald's exists in Carrefour and like places like that, but there are a lot of local businesses like coffee shops or coffee bars, restaurants, they're local. And the reason why I like that they're local is that you have much more of a connection with you and the owner, and they care whether you come back or whether
Hmm.
you like or don't like their place. You know, right outside of our apartment, we just got pizza last night after
Hmm.
we got back, and the local owner is cooking the pizza and his wife is doing the register. So when you go in there, they're not going to treat you like garbage. You know, they're not going to be ambivalent towards you. Where if you go to chain restaurant, a lot of times people are like, I don't care whether I treat you well or not, because
Hmm.
if I lose this job, then I'll go to another job. You get treated with a lot more respect and kindness, I would say, in Italy, because a lot of the places are local. There's a Chinese restaurant really
Yeah.
close to us as well. And when we come in, they remember you, they smile at you. You know, I don't know, it just feels
Yeah.
way more like
Community.
yeah, community. Yeah. Like when we go to our town in Monte Chiaro d'Asti, the lady recognizes us every time we go in there. She knows what
Yeah.
we want. They smile. Oh, how was your vacation? Things like that, rather than just like somebody in there and they just like seem annoyed that you're in there and that they have to work. This is something I did not like about the US, specifically chain restaurants or chain places you go to. I'm not saying I've never had like bad service per se, but definitely local restaurants make me feel like I'm more connected and they care more about your business. Okay, another big thing here in Italy is electricity. Now, this was a big surprise to me. One thing I never really worried about in the US was electricity. So, to give you an idea, now I wrote these numbers down. I didn't realize how big of a difference it was. In the US, a standard home, this is normal. It's not this way everywhere, but it's usually like a standard home is like 200 amps, right? And here they measure things in kilowatts as far as power. Now, I'm not an electrician, so I may get some things wrong, but this is what I looked up on Google. So, a standard home in the US, 200 amps, that equates to about 48 kilowatts for a house or an apartment or whatever. Here in Italy, the standard is 3.3 kilowatts or 14.3 amps. That is insane. Now, if that none of that makes sense to you, what that means is you cannot have your air conditioner on and run your dryer at the same time. You can't dry your hair or have the air conditioner on at the
Yeah,
same time.
microwave, wash machine, hot water for tea. These all advices which consume a lot of energy.
Hmm.
So if your hot water 2 kilowatt plus hair dryer one also 2 kilowatt, well, you're safe.
Yeah, you trip the breaker.
Yeah, and you're not no, and we have in our home this panel, no,
Yeah,
and you can turn on. But some houses have in a basement,
yeah.
and you need to go to
Yeah, you
bed.
have to go down to the basement if you trip the breaker. So it was just strange to me when I first moved in, and Elena would be running the wash machine, and I would go to like heat up some water. And she goes, "Oh no, hold on, let me turn off the wash machine, and then you can heat up water." Or instead of heating the water in like the electric water heater, we would like
On
he-
fire, yeah.
we would heat it on the stove. And all stoves here are gas because you definitely can't run a electric stove and anything else in the house. And that's even for newer homes. And I think the max I saw is like you can get like 10 kilowatt homes, which is still way less than in the US. So again, I don't want to say it's good or bad. It is what it is, but I was really surprised. So you definitely have to pay more attention to how you use electricity here in Italy. Okay, another thing, recycling is a big deal here. In the US, we have recycling, but it's kind of like you have your regular trash and then you have your recycling, which normally you would put plastic and metal, and that's it. As far as I know, I'm sure that there are other places in the US or people who do much more filtering recycle, but for me, I know that you have your green bin and you have your blue bin. In your blue bin, you put plastic and metal, and your green bin, you put everything else. Here, this is just to name a few, this is not all inclusive. You have your bio, and this is all in your house. You have to separate your trash in the house, and then when you go take your trash out,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of special cans for each one of these, and you have to be very careful because they will come find you if you mess this up. They will come find you. Even in this apartment, we may not be penalized individually for this apartment because they can't track down if you do something wrong, but they will find our specific wing,
Mhm.
our apartment wing, and then the apartment administrator will send a notice and say somebody's not recycling properly, fix it. But also, there are like trash monitors. There are people that will hang out their window and watch you do your trash, and if you
Yeah.
don't do your recycling correctly, somebody will yell at you. This is the just in your house. This is not all inclusive. You have your like wet bio. So you put like your coffee grounds, eggs,
Yeah, food, yeah.
yeah, food like banana peels, things like that. So your wet bio, you have glass and metal; those two actually go together. You have your paper, you have your plastic, and then you have your like what you call like indifference,
Indifferenziata.
indifferenciata, which is like your general, like you don't really know exactly where to do it, or if it's not very well recyclable because different containers will have different labels on where you're supposed to, and some of them will specifically say indifferenciata, meaning it's not really recyclable by plastic or paper or whatever. So you put
Mhm.
it in that one, and that does not include batteries, bulbs for your lights, oil, and things like that. So there's 5 places that you need to put your regular trash, but that doesn't include specialty items as well, and then also bigger items that if you need to take to the dump, you can't just like put
Mhm.
it by your,
Yes.
by your thing. So, and I will say the reverse happened to you when you came to visit me in New
Yes, it was
Hampshire.
so hard.
Yeah, when it was like just throw it in the trash. But what do I do with this one? Throw it in the trash. What do I do with this one? And it's
Yes,
not like I didn't care about recycle, but we didn't separate
yes,
things like that.
to like glass with food, with plastic, everything in one. Yes.
Yeah. So something I've had to get used to, but I've gotten much better at it. I didn't. I had to ask. I had to actually on my phone. I had a little chart of all the things when you throw it away. It's like green, yellow, brown,
Yeah.
white. They all have
So,
different colors, and I had to learn what goes into what. So another thing I've learned in Italy that you need to understand is that you cannot be in a rush
mm,
to do or accomplish anything here. Things just happen slow. You need to plan very far ahead for anything that you need to get done. And even if you plan far ahead, you have to be ready to just accept that things just are not going to get done on time. I definitely have learned that with our house. I mean, we bought the house in October, and I thought at the latest we would be in there in December, and here we are at the end of May, and we will finally be moving in next month. But that is many other things other than just the house. You just learn in Italy. You just need to understand things are going to happen slow. One example that just happened yesterday is her ID card is up for renewal. She needs to renew it by August. So it's the end of May, and she told me, "Oh, I need to make an appointment to get my new
yes.
ID card," right? It expires in August. So we're not waiting at the last minute. We have 2.5 months before it expires, but she cannot get an appointment to get her ID renewed until November. And we're in, but basically June now. It's May 30th. So basically, she made an appointment yesterday and she can't get an appointment until November. So that's
Mhm.
kind of how things work here. So you need to be thinking doctor's appointments work that way a lot of times, any signature appointments, notaries, all that
Yes,
stuff.
for this reason, we get married in Denmark.
That's one of the main reasons why we got married in Denmark. We had everything ready to go to get married here in Italy, and we had all of our paperwork, everything was ready to go, and they said we needed to make an appointment. Again, that was in May of last year when we wanted to schedule to get married, and we couldn't make an appointment to see the judge until October,
October.
and that was just to make an appointment. That wasn't actually to finally get married. So that's why we went to Denmark. Thank you, Denmark. We love you. We're coming up on our year anniversary. Thanks for that. If you ever want to do anything quickly, or you're one of those people that's like go 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 go, Italy is not the place
Mm-mm.
to settle. Another one for me that I've learned is that in Italy, personal space is not recognized in Italy like it is in the US. We'll just put it that way. And I'm someone that actually has a big bubble, meaning if I'm standing in line, so when COVID happened and they said, oh, you need at least 6 inches. No, what is it? Six.
Sì, un metro e mezzo,
Yeah,
yes,
a
1 meter, meter and
meter.
a half.
Yeah, you need a decent amount of space. To me, like that's normal. To me, I'm like, yeah, I always stand that far away from people in general, whether I'm in line or whether I'm somewhere. I'm like, yeah, That was normal operating business for me, but
Mhm.
in Italy, it's not that way. I'm not saying it always happens. Again, I'm not saying all Italians don't respect your personal space. I'm just saying it's less here than in the US. Yeah,
Mhm.
man, I don't know what else to say about that. That's something I've had to get used to is that Italians are much more comfortable with being close physically. So the next thing is the Italian stare. This one, I'm still getting used to. At first, I thought it was just because I was new in this like apartment area, right? We live in this apartment complex, and when I was here, people will just like literally stop in their tracks and just kind of like look at you, and they will follow you with their eyes. You can look at them, and they will just stare right back at you. And I thought, oh, I'm new. They're probably like thinking, oh, Elena has a boyfriend. Okay, new. No, 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 no. That happens always, everywhere. New, not new. People will stop in their tracks and they will just stare at you for as long as they need to. I don't know. And I thought it was just me. And then I learned, okay, it's an Italian thing, but I thought it was also just because I'm a foreigner. And no, it's not that either. Italians do it to each other. I've watched other Italians literally like walking and they'll stop in their tracks and just watch somebody else do something. And then the other person, and then they'll just kind of watch each other. So it's just a thing. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm still not used to it. It's still off-putting at times when it does happen, when someone just kind of like stares at you and you almost kind of like, and sometimes it can be a funny thing, right? You notice them noticing you and you kind of like head nod or wave and they'll be polite or whatever. But sometimes the really off-putting part is when they just stare at you and you acknowledge them and there's nothing. So if someone's staring at you and you catch their eye and then you kind of stare back at them and you're like, oh, hi. And they just, uh, I don't know what to do with that. If you are Italian, now Ellen has lived here for 20 years and she can't explain it to me. If you are Italian and you're watching this, can you explain the Italian stare to me? I don't get it. I'm still not used to. I think of all the things I have not gotten used to is the Italian stare. And you know what? I say it's the Italian stare. Maybe it's not unique to Italy, but it's unique to me. I've never had that in my life. So please explain that to me. Okay, so I guess now we're getting into some of the more negative things. The Italian stare, maybe it's negative, maybe it's not negative. I don't know, but I'm not used to it. It's weird for me. Another thing in Italy that I have not gotten used to is that the mail here is awful. At
Mm.
least here in Torino and this specific apartment. We have had so many issues with the mail in the US. I've complained about the mail in the US and I want to apologize because the US, the mail is much better and much more sacred than here.
Mm.
We've had so many items broken or they just don't deliver or we're expecting a package. And so we're here all day in the house and the package
Mhm.
never arrives. And then we finally get a message in our mailbox saying, ah, you weren't here.
Yeah, we tried to
Yeah,
deliver.
we tried to deliver. And then you go to get the package at the place and they said, no, we sent it back because you weren't there. I'm like, yes, we were. We were at our place. We went to go pick it up. I'll leave it at that. The mail here, I just don't trust it. Things that I've sent to my parents that never make it, or things that I've sent and it takes literally like months and months and months to arrive
Mhm.
to them. Definitely not used to that as far as mail goes. Okay, so this one is a bit heavier, and this is where I hope I don't offend anybody, but it is what it is, right? One thing I've learned about living in Italy is that Italy is a great place to visit. Absolutely. And I'll even say for me, it's a great place to live. I really do like living here. There's so much beauty, the food, all the good things I've just mentioned, right? But Italy is not a great place to grow. So let me explain that. If you want to start a business here, it is very, very difficult. Between taxes and rules and laws and all the things that you have to do, good luck, especially if you're a foreigner. It is hard to start a business here as a native Italian. It is very, very difficult as a foreigner to start a business. And then if you do start a business and you start to become successful, uh, the tax system is very much not your friend. Along with, I don't know, there's so much that I want to say that I feel like I can't because one, I could be wrong and then rules change everywhere. But I have just learned some through just talking to other Italians, but some of our own like
Mhm.
ambition to try and do things here. It's just not a good place to grow. Italy is a wonderful place to live if you already have money. This
Mhm.
is again my opinion, our opinion. Italy is a wonderful place to visit if you also have money. But even if you don't have a lot of money, if you just want to come visit and enjoy Italy for what it is, it's great. If you come here with some money in your pocket, which I did, I had a decent amount of money saved up. I think it's a great place. But to actually, if you have ambition to like come here and grow a business or grow something, save a bunch of money and do something, I don't think Italy is a great place to do that. I'm not saying it's impossible. Anybody can do anything. And again, if somebody has constructive criticism against what I'm saying, feel free to correct me in the comments. But over the last year, it's something that I've learned. It's not easy to grow or do
Yes.
business here. But you can definitely come here and make it. Elena's been here for over 20 years, and she started from almost nothing and worked her way up, became very successful. So it's not impossible, but it definitely is not easy. So if you're thinking about coming to visit Italy, please come. It's a wonderful place. If you're thinking about coming to buy a home and you have a bunch of money in your pocket, or you won the lottery or something, yes, come buy a home here. All the other stuff still applies. You can't be in a rush, and there's lots of rules. But if you're coming here with not a whole lot and you want to like buy one of these €1 houses and try and like build something from there, I personally would not
Yeah,
recommend
or
it.
you can fix by yourself.
Even that, if you take a house from zero to something, somebody will see that you're doing something good and somehow come tax
Ah,
you or
yes, of
do
course,
something.
because
Yes.
for different things you need to have a license.
Exactly. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, so that's basically it. I've learned a whole lot more. Some of the stuff I already talked about in my 6-month update video, and more of that has just been confirmed. But I do feel much more comfortable than I did at 6 months. I think I started out the 6-month video like this is the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life. And even my parents were like, "Are you okay?" Like they called me and was like, "Yes, I'm okay." And I said in that video, uncomfortable doesn't mean unhappy. Like uncomfortable just means uncomfortable. If you go to the gym for the first time, that's a good thing, but you usually leave very sore. You're uncomfortable, right? So just being in a new situation was uncomfortable, not knowing the language, all that stuff was just weird. In general, I will say I'm less uncomfortable, although I'm still uncomfortable at times, and I'm definitely happy. Like I wouldn't say happy, although I am happy. Right now in this moment, I'm happy, but I'm content. I'm very content with the life that we've built and that we're building. I like it here in Italy. I have made friends, basically with your friends. Italy is a very warm and welcoming country. Like it's beautiful here. So I do love it. Despite some of the negative things I said, Italy is a wonderful place. Okay, having said that, we're at the end. And basically, I said, have I learned Italian? So at 6 months, I said I couldn't speak Italian. And, I could speak some, but not a lot. In a year, the question is, have I learned Italian? La risposta è sì, certo, posso parlare italiano. Parliamo quasi ogni giorno,
Sì,
in
spesso italiano,
italiano.
sì, perché a volte io mi stufo parlare inglese
Sì,
e mi viene più facile dire in italiano e mi sorprendo quanto tu capisci.
sì, e questa parte del video non voglio fare perché dobbiamo tradurre tutte queste, è la parte che mi dà il più fastidio di quando devo
Deve mettere i sottotitoli?
sì, sì, quando devo fare sottotitoli, no?
Sottotitoli?
Sottotitoli, sì, grazie. Però sì, certo, posso parlare, mi sento a mio agio quando parlo, più quando, ascolto, no,
Mh-mh.
quando, uhm, la gente parla a me, però sì, non so, non ho livello alto, A2 forse B1, però sì, posso andare al centro commerciale, parla con la gente, non ho problemi, no,
Sì.
però devo imparare di più. Non lo so, non so, non ho preparato niente a questa parte. Sto parlando, d
Dalla testa?
dalla testa, sì,
Sì,
grazie.
sì, sì, sì. No, però vabbè, quando noi usciamo con amici,
Sì,
tu cerchi di parlare, loro fanno domande. Ovviamente
esatto.
con
Sì,
essendo in Italia, quando ti parlano tutti insieme, rumore, è difficile anche capire, però
sì, sì, nell'inizio, nel beginning, no?
all'inizio
Nell'inizio, quando usciamo con i suoi amici, era molto difficile per me perché non ho capito niente, quasi niente, però adesso, posso capire e, gli ultimi mesi posso partecipare, posso parlare e dire un paio di cose.
sei molto bravo.
Sì,
Io
sì.
penso che stai andando molto velocemente.
Grazie. È molto importante se se vuoi, imparare come dire, mettersi in gioco, no, ho
Sì,
detto giusto?
giusto.
Mettersi in gioco e usare il tuo italiano, perché io preferisco imparare con, le cose passivo, no, leggere e guardare, ascoltare le cose, però per migliorare devi parlare.
Devi parlare, sì.
Quindi cerco di parlare di più con Elena, devo parlare di più, però leggiamo insieme tutti i giorni, come ho detto
Ah, a me piace moltissimo
nell'ultimo
perché per
video.
me è come un
Sì,
audiolibro.
sì, sì, però sì. Basta, questo è il mio livello di italiano. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I literally did not prepare that at all. I just started speaking. For those who cannot speak Italian, it may seem like, wow, you learned. For those who can speak Italian, you know how bad that really was. But I'm comfortable. Especially listening. I understand so much more than I used to. Much higher level of understanding than of speaking. Depending on what I'm talking about, it's still like kind of like that block. I still have to translate in my head, but I need to write. I think a little bit more to like do more
Mhm, mhm.
active. But speaking to you has definitely helped. So I'm understanding jokes in Italian, which is really good. We read something this morning, and I was laughing so hard.
Ah, yeah, 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 about la risposta automatica, la
Exactly.
segreteria telefonica.
Exactly. So that's it. That's the 1 year update. I'm looking forward to doing our finally moving into our new home. Who knows when that will be? Sometime next month, of course. But I will keep doing these updates. In another 6 months, I'll do another update. I'll do another update of my Italian. Hopefully, it's much better than it is now. And if you have any questions, of course, please ask, and we will try and answer them in the comments or maybe in
Mhm.
another video. If you have any constructive criticism, please, I'm open to it.
Yes.
Any encouragement, of course, we love encouragement. I'll eat that all up.
Yes,
Um,
suggestion, everything.
yeah,
Yes, because
suggestions.
because you are new here. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm living here for 20 years, but still I can be wrong of something.
Yeah,
And to discover new things, it's always maybe, for example, for la carta d'identità. Ah, okay, I booked my appointment in November, but maybe there exists some different way. Okay,
yeah.
explain.
For sure. So if you enjoyed this video or if you got something out of it, we ask that you please leave a like and subscribe if you can. We put a lot of love and effort into these videos, and we hope to grow this channel a little bit more. We're almost at 1,000. We're trying to reach that, and of course, we want to get bigger to reach a bigger audience. We really love what we're doing here, and we thank all of you who have been regularly participating. We appreciate you as always. One other thing I wanted to say before signing off is we have a backlog of videos, and we promised that we would do the videos of each city for Uzbekistan. We have all of those, and we are actively working on them. And we have one video we still never finished with when we went to Puglia. So
Mhm.
anybody who's been watching and kind of wondering where those videos are, we still have them. They are coming out. We got super busy when we got back from Puglia.
Mhm.
We have done a couple other videos in between those because they're faster to edit. But these other videos where we kind of have to do a little more research and kind of create the story or whatever, they take a little bit longer to edit. So that's why they take longer. So we just got back from a trip from Germany. So that one's coming out as well. But we will get these Uzbekistan videos out first. At some point, the Puglia videos, and then we'll have some videos coming out from Germany. Of course, we will have a video coming out when we finally move into our new home.
Yes.
As soon as we move into the new home, we will definitely do that regardless of where we're at in our posting schedule. But this summer, we are not taking any major trips, so we'll have some breathing room
Mhm.
to get those videos out. So we apologize, those haven't come out
Mhm.
yet, but they are coming. Whichever video comes out next, we will see you in that one. Thank you for watching. Italy, thank you so much for hosting me this first year. It's been an amazing, wonderful ride. And until the next one, ciao.
Ciao.